Hello everyone, Dolphin Oracle here again tonight. And hey, it's New Year's Eve for those of you down in Australia and parts east of me. Well, I guess you've already had your New Year's Day, so Happy New Year to you a little early. It's still New Year's Eve where I'm at in the world, and I just wanted to pass that along to everyone. And also, hey, New Year, how about a new kernel for your live USB system? How's that for a segue? The antiX live USB system, unlike many live systems, allows you to update the kernel on the live system, whether you install it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that. Now the first thing you need to do, and this is the skill set that we've developed over the last series of videos, the first thing you need to do is you need to install your kernel. Now for your benefit, I've already installed a new kernel because honestly, it's a long and boring process, and it's just downloading and watching a package installation. It's not that impressive. You can install one from MX package installer. You can install one direct from Synaptic or from the apt-get command line kind of thing. That choice is up to you. The neat part is, what you need to do though is after you install the kernel, it won't be active because the live system lives outside of the regular running file system. We've talked about that a little bit in the past or in the remaster video. And actually that's what you need to do before you run this tool that we call live-kernel-updater. So I'm going to hit live-usb-kernel-updater. It's going to ask for the user password. This is an antiX tool, and unlike most of the MX tools, antiX usually calls for the user password rather than the root password. So we'll type in the user password. It's going to tell us what our current running kernel is. The current running kernel in this case is the default 4.19.0. That's the Debian package name for the kernel. The actual kernel name is a little different. So the current live system is on STC. I am running the live system right now. I'm running off my my little USB PNY monkey tail blue USB stick. It's a USB 3 device, and this is the media that I keep updated for my well, it's my personal reinstall media. Knock on wood, I haven't needed it this time around, but this is my own personal device, so I'm going to update that system. That's the one I want to update. And it's going to tell me that it has found one running live kernel. It has one default live kernel. 2 installed kernels, though. 2 installed kernels. Remember, I've already done this. And I installed the 5.2.15 antiX kernel. I did this a while back. There's actually newer kernels out now, but I installed this some time ago. Been using it off and on, and it's been working fairly well. So it has here in the cursor keys here, select action to perform. Now you can just update the initial RAM drive, the init.rd. This is only useful if you know you need to actually do it. It updates from the template series. If we update the template file, you can actually update the template on the live USB to the latest init.rd. It's kind of handy on occasion. Updating the VM Linux is what you want to do because that is where the Linux kernel image sits outside of the regular file system. That's what we actually boot, that file. You'll notice that it says update VM Linux from 4.19.06. That's what we want. I know it's a little murky, but it's from that version. So we're going to select that. And it's going to tell me that I am going to update from 4.19.06 with this date on it to 5.2.15 with this date on it, and it's going to make a backup. If you notice, it makes a backup. You can roll this back if you need to, and the live kernel updater system has a live rollback feature that you can use. Shall we begin? Yes, please, let's begin. It's so fast. It's so fast to do, you can't even hardly believe how fast it is. Now, there is one thing, and the reason I held this video off till last is because you do have to run a remaster before you do the kernel update. Now, if live kernel updater will do some checks to try to check to see if you remastered since installing the kernel. If you haven't, it's going to tell you to do so. So that's why I wanted to do this one last, because you have all the skills necessary from the previous series of live USBs to actually perform your update kernel. Why would you want to do this? Maybe you got an AMD system and you need a later kernel to enable some more hardware features. Or maybe you have an older system, for whatever reason the 4.19 kernel doesn't like you. I don't know why, but the 4.19 kernel anecdotally seems to have problems with systems that still operate IDE bus. I don't know why. I'm not even sure that's what it is, but my eyeballs and what I'm seeing in the forums and online posts, and not just us, elsewhere in the world, certain machines have quirks that didn't have it on an older kernel, and I think somewhere something went a little hokey upstream in kernel land, and not always going forward is the answer. Sometimes going back is the answer. And you can do that because antiX actually still maintains a 4.9 kernel. You can drop that back. Thing updates every couple of weeks, and it's there for you. You can do that right. This live USB kernel updater will let you do that. Hit enter. I'm done. It's done. It's updated. I'm still running the older kernel, so I'm going to do a uname/a so you can see the kernel is there. Do a quick reboot. Be right back. Okay, everyone, so I'm booted back into the system. Let's open up the terminal. Hands fell off the keyboard. And we're going to do a uname/a-a, and you'll see that I'm running the 5.2.15 antiX kernel. So the update's gone into effect. Now, what if you want to switch back? Well, let's run the live USB kernel updater tool again. So it's going to be a little different now because it'll have the rollback option there to go back to the old kernel. So you can run that again, go back, it'll boot back to the your old kernel, switch them out. You can switch them as needed. It's pretty a handy system, and it's again one of those things in the antiX live USB system that you can do that most other live systems can't. Personal note, have a great new year, be kind to one another. A lot of crazy stuff in the world here this December 31st. Let's all try to be better to one another. For tips, tricks, and how-tos, head over to mxlinux.org or antixlinux.com. This is Dolphin Oracle signing off. Have a great night.